Good morning, YouTube. I'm hanging out in the garage with the goats, and this is Miss Trouble, of course. Look at that profile. That's awesome. Hey, sweetie. She's probably got the most bulbous eyes of our goats. The others are, even her kids have a flatter uh, orbital bone. But she's so sweet. This goat right here. She was bottle fed when she was brought up, and we bottle fed her for a little while when we got her. So she's super affectionate. She has no qualms with you rubbing her belly or anything like that. Oh, she lets me touch her udder. Not thrilled about it, but nobody ever is. But trouble was actually her and Bella got to the farm at the same time. Hey, sweetie. So, but she was a little bit younger, so we call her number two, and Bella would be number one in that regard. Now, Trouble has had kids before. They're both right here. Tansy was born first, and Billy was born later, and we'll talk about them in a little bit. But Miss Trouble here, look, I don't know if it shows how girthy she is right now. Poor girl. They got about 9 or 10 days left, and they should be able to, give birth. And yeah, here, sweetie. So that's Miss Trouble. I guess what we'll do is we'll do her kids since they're both here. These two, Tansy and Bilberry, were born 2 summers ago. Um, Tansy was born first. She came out and she was all wrapped up in embryonic sac and whatever have you when their birth, and and she wasn't breathing. Trouble. It was her first time having kids, and Trouble was kind of in a panic mode when I noticed of, and she was trying to birth the second kid and really just left Tansy laying there wrapped up in that stuff, and I pulled it off her face, and she was agonally breathing agonally. She was really struggling, and it didn't look like she was going to make it. She was looking like she was dying or dead. But I gave her a little bit of rescue breathing, and I don't know if it was enough that it just made it a little speedier recovery for her. But she was really struggling, and then I gave her those few rescue breaths, and she kind of gasped, and it sounded like her airway was not clear. It was sounding real gargled, like phlegmy. But she's always been real sweet to me, and I attribute it to that instance. And look how well she's posing for me here, just standing there chewing her cud. This is one of the things that happens when goats are about ready to deliver. They kind of get in a trance. I mean, look at her face. I'm gonna zoom in. So they kind of get in a trance sometimes, and they'll just stand there and they'll stare off in the distance. But it's just, I think, any woman can testify. Birthing children and pregnancy is tough, especially towards the end. So we can totally appreciate it. Billy, and then we got Mr. Billy here, her brother. He's a big boy. In fact, he's so big he doesn't meet the Nigerian dwarf standards. So he was born second, and I remember when he came out, and I just couldn't believe the size of him then. He was almost, you know, 50% bigger than his sister, and he never really stopped growing for about 2 years. He's a big goat. I'm trying to, but I mean, you can't even see his sister over the top of him. They're only about 3 or 4 feet apart. But his birth was pretty easy. We wanted to stud him with the rest of the goats that we had, and we did, and we thought we had success, but we should have waited before we fixed him because we did not have success. He was still too young. He was doing it, but he wasn't mature enough, and so we prematurely got him fixed, and wound up with a really nice wether. We were going to keep him as a wether regardless, but we were hoping he would have got the girls pregnant. Turns out it's good that he didn't. Hey, sweetie, because he's so big, he could have passed those genetics on, and we might have had several kids that were too big to be classified as dwarf. So really mellow goat. He's one of the few goats that can, when he stands up on his back legs, he's eye to eye with me. She is, I reckon, 5 years old now, and her mother is Bella. Bella is way out there on the hay pile, still eating. I don't know if you can even see her out there, but so Meg was a product of incest, which is unfortunate. We had a buck, and he was very young. He was actually maybe 6 months old, and he got his mom pregnant. Couldn't believe it. Um, and she's the product of that relationship. Um, she's got some issues. She's small for one, which is actually that's not an issue, but she has some joint issues, and I think it's probably attributed to the fact that her genetics are double stacked, so to speak. Um, but she's an absolute sweetheart. If she stood up, I'd show you how fat she looks. I mean, look at that. She's pregnant, obviously. Now she's got a little longer to go than the others. I think Meg is probably 3 weeks or so behind, say someone like Cinnamon. But she's had a pretty unremarkable life. She's a Maine goat. She came down with us from Maine. Um, she stays out of trouble for the most part. She's super sweet. Yeah, you'll always know where she's at because she's almost always in this pen in here. If she's not on the pasture with the other goats, and you're wondering, she's most likely laying right in the pen. She loves it in there. But we'll see what she can produce. For what it's worth, these are investments to us, and we sell the offspring. We don't know if we'll be able to sell the offspring from her. It doesn't matter, good or bad. We just don't know. She's not as purebred as the others. Oh, hey, you know what? Let's pause right there, folks. All right, I totally forgot. I had a ba 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 macanudo. Macanudo. I am gonna try this and see how it is. Well, we keep talking about the goats. Comes in a cool little metal container. Hey, Bella, Bella, Bella. I'll talk about you in a little bit. Mm-hmm. These are one of my favorites from years ago. I remember, and yeah, they just taste phenomenal. So let's go back to the goats. Macanudo. What was it called? Macanudo Court, Cafe Court. I don't know. Tasty little bugger. We'll keep you posted. Let's switch it up to the goat. So that there is Miss Bella. She's the goat that started everything. She was the number one goat we got. She, I believe, when we got the goats, I think she might have been like 10 or 12 weeks, and Trouble was like 8 weeks. It was something like that. They were just a few weeks apart. But we consider her the matriarch of the group, and she's just a really good girl. Her offspring, she's had two, four. I think she's only had four kids, so this will be her third time being pregnant. But she's an awesome mom. She doesn't take no crap. these two I would consider best friends right here. You'll often find them standing, just rubbing each other's necks, right, sweetheart? I know you want cuddles too. Let's set you down here. We'll do some cuddles. Yeah, we'll do some cuddles. That's Trouble ramming the camera. That's how she got her name. She just always seems to find the mischief. Don't, you'll burn yourself, bud. Got a Billy here trying to poke at my cigar. But yeah, Bella was, I believe we bought them from a woman in Massachusetts. And Julia went down. Oh no, excuse me, we all went down. Yeah, we all went down and we met the woman in at a farm festival thing, and she had them there, and we picked them up, drove back. It was like a 5 hour ride, but um, she's done great. She's super healthy. She's never had any problems. She was really good in the cold up there in Maine, and she's done. She's scooting away. She's like, "Stop talking about me, Steve. I don't want to hear it." I'm in truck jobs, and this one is complete opposite. She wants all the affection and all the attention, don't you? But Bella's probably 6 years, 7 years old, maybe. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot about that. When we first got these two, Trouble and Bella, we had some pretty lousy security measures. So the fencing was kind of loose, and in the goat barn where I kept the hay on one side, and I kept them on the other. They figured out how to jump over the um, the gate, and they'd get in and just destroy the hay. Get in there and eat all day. And I'd come home from work. What are you guys doing? Or I'd get a call from my neighbor at work, and she'd be like, "Steve, your goats jumped out the window," because they would get up on this table that was on the hay side, and they bust through the screen, and then they were trouble. And then they were jumping, out the window, and she was catching them for me. Pretty funny. One time I came home, she called me and she said she's trying to catch them, and I raced home, and she's out there in her nightie like a moo. She's an older woman, and she's chasing goats around for me. It was really funny. I mean, you can't ask for a better neighbor. Chase, and it was a main road we lived on. It was a state route, so. Mm. But Bella and Trouble have had quite an existence together. They're quite well bonded. Let's turn the camera to here. And there's Miss Cinnamon laying in there. Cinnamon is Bella's child as well. I got them both here now. They're gonna start monkeying with the camera. So Cinnamon was Bella's first child, I believe, first kid. It was Cinnamon and Sugar, her brother. Her brother was the one that got Mama pregnant, and and she conceived Nutmeg. So Nutmeg is Nutmeg to Cinnamon. They're not only sisters, but I guess they're also aunt and niece, maybe even cousins. I don't know how it all works out. But she's another one, really, really sweet. We think she's the closest to being due. She's been really. Oh, sorry. She's just been really different. She's you see what she's doing. She's just laying there, kind of staring off. She's due. She's gonna probably birth in the next week. Um, yeah, we noticed this morning when the rear end is where you'll notice most of the things that are happening, obviously, and part of that includes the tail gets real loose and floppy, and it drapes down. And then the other thing is another thing, not the other thing, but another thing is their womanly parts back there begin to swell, and it gets to look like it's padded almost, and it's just everything loosening up back there. And that's another sign too. Of course, we'll be looking for a mucus plug. But Bella, why don't you move your fat head from out of the way of the camera? That'd be cool. But that's all of them. I don't think I missed anyone. She's another Maine goat, Cinnamon, and unfortunately for her, last time she was pregnant, um, when I came up, the baby was halfway out, but it was stuck, and it was just kind of flopping around back there. So I tried to get it out. I actually stuck my hand in there and tried to pull it out, but I couldn't figure out the anatomy without. I couldn't figure out the anatomy, which is my hands. But they have at the back of the birth canal, right before they come out, there's like a little ledge, and they can get caught on that ledge, and that's what happened. The goat was coming out breech. It got caught on that little ledge, and it couldn't get its feet out and over, and it died. We tried to pull it out here, we just couldn't do it. And then Julia, so we loaded her into the car, and Julia raced her to the vets, but she was the baby goat was dead. It was really sad because they had to deliver it for her, and it was already dead, and there was nothing they could do. And I never seen an animal so depressed as I saw her when she came back that day. It was really, really sad. She was covered in blood. She was, they had shaved part of her leg for an IV and things, and I literally saw tears in her eyes. It was the saddest thing, and it's affected her ever since. She's a much more depressed animal. We're really hoping this set of kids, well, who knows how many she has? She might just have one again, but we're hoping she can be successful this time. We're monitoring her the closest, and like I said, if she could be successful, that would bring us a lot of joy. We'll keep whatever one it is. If it's a boy, we'll keep it as a wether. If it's a girl, we'll keep it as breeder. And yeah, it's hard not to create, connections with these animals. She's been with us like 6 years or so, and they're just as loyal to you as a dog. They really are. If you could see behind me how they circle around me and like crave attention, and they'll butt heads with each other to get the best spot, and they really are awesome. I have a growing appreciation for what herders and shepherds would do. Um, I mean, you can just go out into the field and watch the animals. You just go out to the field and watch the animals, and you can learn so much from them. But that's pretty cool. Sorry, Bella. Just tripped over her fat butt. I hope you enjoyed that quick little breakdown of the girls. I know a lot of you probably know just most of this stuff, but we do got a lot of new subscribers, and bring them up to speed when things like that, when I have an opportunity. But I've always enjoyed the husbandry part of the animals. Um, Before we had goats, we had chickens, and I would raise those up, from eggs. Would take the eggs, and put them through the incubator, hatch them out, and it was just so cool. And then raise those birds up. One of the birds, Mrs. Black, she was about 6 years old or so when she was just killed here. I had her down in Maine. Um, yeah, we went we went through quite a few different flocks down there in Maine because we would have them and then think we didn't want them, so we would sell them. or we'd have a group we didn't really like and we'd sell them. We did that a few times. I would hatch out eggs for people and sell them. I did that a few times. Mm. But we've learned a lot with the goats and what the mishap with Cinnamon. Really, I had the vet and everything said we had the right approach by trying to intervene and get our hands in there and pull. But one, I didn't realize how firm I could be without hurting the animal. Um, and two, there's a trick. You basically take the rope and you feed it in to her space, and you put it behind the goat's elbows almost, and then you pull it out, and then you can take that rope and you just tug, and his little legs will come up and out. You know, like what happened last time is they were stuck in like that, and he couldn't go any farther because he couldn't bend anymore. So if we would have been able to get him even below his little paws, we could have pulled it up and out, and that would have saved the goat's life. But we didn't know. Mama didn't know it was her first kid. That damn hawk. So she didn't know it was her first time, and they really, you know, we underestimate how difficult birth is, and how oftentimes it leads it life begins and it's instant death. You know, if we weren't home to catch what happened with Cinnamon, there's a real good chance that he would have, well, he did die, but that she would have died as well, because she probably wouldn't have been able to withstand that amount of stress on her back end with nothing moving. You know, it was stuck there, and it was she probably would not have been able to use her bladder or anything at that point. So it would have most likely been fatal. But we do got the camera, and I do make frequent trips up here. So does Julia, and we'll be stepping that up in the next week. We'll probably be coming up probably upwards of 10 times a day, checking the camera through the night, you know, type of thing. Um, I got goosebumps. I'm getting excited. Wait to see the videos of baby goats. You guys are gonna trip. Um, on that, I can't wait to see them on that pile of rocks over there, because goats have a natural instinct to play king of the hill. How you doing, sweetie? Cinnamon's up here walking around. She's an absolute angel. It's funny. I don't have a lot of friends that I see on a regular basis. Um, and many of my friends that I grew up with, I'm not in contact with them. So I really enjoy the company of the animals. You know, they don't know what a butthead I am sometimes, pun intended, but I could get along with them pretty good. Quite honestly, I think these some of these animals I have here are smarter than most humans, including myself. But I hope you enjoyed the little breakdown. I'll keep you guys posted as the clock ticks down now. 10 days or so we got left, um, and we're really excited. So if you got any crafty names of herbs or spices, that's what we name our girls. You know, we got cinnamon, we got tansy, we got bilberry, we have nutmeg. Bella and Trouble are the only two because they came to us with names. So but every other one, you know, we had sugar, we had brown sugar. Um, what? I got stung by something this morning, and it was just a big old bee buzzing right now. Jeez, leave me alone. But yeah, throw them in the comments if you got. I think it probably would be helpful to see the kids, because then you can play off the colors of them and stuff. You know, brown sugar or salt and pepper. You know, things like that. But we're always open to hearing different names. You know, um, sometimes you get writer's block naming animals. or you've named them that before, named other ones before. So, but this video we'll dedicate to Thriller because he is responsible for impregnating all these girls. And Thriller was our stud who passed about, I guess almost a month now, maybe 3 weeks. He poisoned himself by eating some plants um, on a regular basis. We had no idea, for one, that he was eating them, and two, we had no idea it was a poisonous plant. So, but it turned out in the end it was something he regularly ate down, and it would grow back, and he'd eat it down and grow back, and he did that multiple times until he basically overloaded his system with the substance, and it killed him. I don't know the name of the plant. Julia discovered it, but when we came across the plant, it was clear. You could see like the base where he couldn't reach was fine, but the top where he could reach had been constantly mowed down and regrew and chopped down and grew, and it was from him eating it through the fence. And I hope you folks have a great day. Thanks.